I did consult to the Koch company, short consultation. And the reason I did is I got a phone call and someone on the phone said, "Hello, I'm vice president of Koch International. Are you a Maslowian?" And I'd never heard someone call themselves a Maslowian. That wasn't a term he ever used. And I said, "Well, yes, you could say that." He said, "We want you to come out to our headquarters in, I think it was Kansas City, and talk about how to set up a Maslow style of management. Because Charles Koch, who's the CEO, wants that." So I met all their senior staff. This was a meeting of about 65 people. One of them ran an oil refinery, another was head of their oil truck fleet. You know, they were very senior people. And I was not a good politician. I could have maybe convinced them that they needed me to help them become more like Maslow. But mostly I said, you can't, it's more than you think. It's tougher than you think. Be prepared for everything to change. So I did consult, to Koch Industries and got to meet Charles Koch and his brother. And he was a brilliant guy. It was very clear he was really a brilliant man. And when I was there, he had taken over from his father. His father had 4 sons, and they didn't get along. They were always suing each other and fighting with each other. So he and his brother became allies, and the other 2 brothers became allies. And he had just moved the business from several $100 million to maybe $500 million. And then in the next few years, it moved to $1 billion and to 10 billion, and it kept going up. But my main consulting work, and this was 10 years of going down every month to Los Angeles to consult with another company called Decurion, which is an old Greek word meaning it's like a lieutenant in the army. And it was owned by another family, and the CEO was another brilliant guy. Charles Koch had 2 MBAs from MIT. Well, he had an MBA and then he had an MA in, I think, oil mining, something like that. And the president of Decurion had a master's in classics from Harvard. He got a fellowship to study at Oxford, classics, and then he went to Stanford and got an MBA. And he loved movies. This company was the largest, had the most movie theaters on the West Coast back in the 30s, run by his grandfather, who founded the company.
What's the name of the company again?
The name is Decurion.
Decurion.
Decurion. And I got friendly with all their senior management. They became my Aikido students. And finally, after 4 or 5 years, the most senior got black belts in Aikido. They started a new kind of movie theater. And this was, I think, the CEO's inspiration. Movie theater revenue was going down. So what he said is, we're going to spend a lot of money building the best movie theaters in the world. In an industry where the income is down. But they all his employees believed in it. And what he said is, look, when you go to a movie, in a regular movie theater, if there are kids, they're making noise. Often adults are making noise. It's not the best sound, it's not the best seats, it's not the best projection of film. I want to change all that. I want to make it so there's nothing between the audience and the director's vision of the film, that we don't get in the way. And he did. I mean, everybody acknowledged they were the best movie theaters in Hollywood. and they would hold awards for all kinds of things in the movie industry. And meanwhile, I would go down every month and teach Aikido and have some of my friends in LA teach every week at Decurion. So that's where I did most of my consulting. And the top three employees was the CEO, the COO, and the head of the real estate division, which is where all the money really was. Everybody said, movies, how glamorous. No, their money came from owning a lot of real estate and renting it out. So they worked very hard. They all said, this is the toughest I've ever worked for anything in my life to get a black belt. So my main teacher was still alive, and I would bring him whenever he came to America. I would bring him down to Los Angeles for a day, and he would teach there all day long. And he was unbelievably good. I mean, so slowly Aikido became a part of that company, but it was organic. I would talk about the goals of Aikido. I would talk about soft power. But in practicing Aikido, they got to experience it. So I always used to joke, it's how I put my youngest son through UCLA. It was my income from Decurion. Yeah. So Aikido, I can say, I know does work. It works as a marvelous consulting tool, but not with the famous Koch brothers.
So like for Koch brothers, they didn't learn that much Aikido. They just learned the
I just talked about it and talked about Maslow, but they didn't give me the time and resources to even begin to teach there. So.
I feel like those like CEO or founder who reach out to you to learn like Maslow or to learn Aikido, they have this mindset already. They know if like they could grow there spiritually, and then the company has a like right direction.
Yeah, but unfortunately, if you're in a capitalist society, which we are, making money, the bottom line is profits.
That's true.
And it's interesting because what happened with Decurion in Los Angeles, they said we want a dual bottom line. Financial profits and helping all our employees grow as human beings. So they actually got to where they figured out a system of looking at both. It was fun to work with them.
I feel it's kind of aligned with our Sofia's,
Yeah,
right?
of course. Sure.
Yeah.
I wish I could send somebody to them, but it's in a way it's too difficult. It's,
Right.
My main ally there was a deeply spiritual man who passed away from cancer maybe 3 years ago. If he was still there, maybe we could have done it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Because in the beginning, I was just a student, study MBA at Sofia, and then I feel like the professors around me, they are like very familiar and kind and friendly, and I feel like I belong to here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, you do.
Right.
And part of the way I know that is you haven't left. It's touched your heart, and you don't want to go anywhere else.
No, exactly. That's what I was feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even here, like people, they are chasing like working in high tech or some big company. But for me, I feel like most important is a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
The bonding.
And we now have a marvelous staff. I think Nami is doing an incredible job as dean or whatever her title is.
Yeah, probably.
And Carol, is a fabulous president. So we have people who really deeply believe in their hearts the mission of Sofia.
Yes, and I'm so happy we expand this mission globally in China,
Yeah,
Korea, and more.
And some years ago, I came up with a model that the curriculum at Sofia is like a tripod, just like we have for the camera here. It's got three legs. One is academic study, reading, writing, being able to communicate professionally, and at the end of it, to write a dissertation. All the skills of a good graduate student. And then we add to that praxis, actual practice. So the MBA talks about how you apply in the real world the the business principles. Because if you don't have that application, it's not real in some way. And then the third is in inner, that it has to come into you. When you talk to people, they have to feel that you're walking your talk. That it's not just abstract. You're talking about what you believe. And I'll tell you, for every year, and I went to every graduation up until a couple of years ago, and the best part was students talking about their education. There were always a couple of students giving a talk, and every one of them said, "This has transformed me more than anything in my life." And they would cry, or there would be tears in their eyes. And they were very eloquent about how important the school was for their own development, even though it was only 2 years in residence, or even not in residence at all. But it worked to deeply touch everybody, and that's how I know, because you can always get academics. You can get a smart young person and teach them to read and write well and be clever and critical. It's like every other school. You can train someone to have what we used to call sharp pencils. They can get into a company, and as a consultant, they can write down the numbers and understand economically where things are going and be very good at it. But so what? Every MBA program does that. But when you combine that with the deep personal change, then to me, we've done our mission.